So this is the work in the show, and I would not have been able to do this had it not been for the support of Catapult Stay Home Artist Residency, as well as the AIRTS collective, who have supported me in being able to manifest this piece. But to talk about this, I have to look back at several of my older works. On January 12, 2010, the city of Port-au-Prince in Haiti was struck by a magnitude 7 earthquake, leaving death and destruction in the city. Records state that over 300,000 people lost their lives and many more were injured. Meanwhile, about 300 miles away from the safety of our homes, we watched through the cool glow of our TV screens the rescue efforts being made by numerous countries who had come to aid Haiti. $13.5 billion in donations and pledges was raised, yet years later little evidence of this aid can be seen. I traveled to Haiti 5 years later to participate in the 4th Ghetto Biennale in 2015, where I made Rebuild, this piece, an installation composed of cement, plastic bags, rice, concrete blocks, plastic toys, and other found objects. It was made at the site pre-selected by curators of a home that was destroyed by the earthquake. In fact, all the exhibition sites showed signs of destruction, as over 200,000 buildings were destroyed by the earthquake and little had been rebuilt. According to Miyamoto International, which is a global earthquake and structural engineering company, what happened in Haiti was more than a natural disaster. It was an engineering disaster, as more than half of the destruction could have been avoided by employing earthquake-resilient construction methods. I personally would say it was also a colonial disaster, which led to the financial and human instability that caused the questionable structural integrity of buildings in Haiti in the first place. When I returned from Haiti, I came upon videos documenting a trend featuring women laying on the ground, beating themselves with cement blocks. It had a jarring effect on me, as I had just come from a place where people had died because they were crushed by cement blocks. Yet here in my own country, women were willingly bashing themselves with the same instrument. Back in 2010, first responders in Port-au-Prince described the destruction of the earthquake as a hellish landscape filled with people digging through concrete for their missing family. I suppose in Jamaica, that catastrophic scene would have been viewed as mere entertainment for people from all walks of life. Perhaps this is another colonial disaster. I made a series of drawings loosely based on these videos, including Ophelia's Liberation, which is in this exhibition over there. This is another piece, Drop It Low, at Famous Wednesdays. Here the figures are shattered like rubble. The cement bags in Rebuild and this installation, they start to take on bodily connotations, body bags, body parts. In the drawings, I am looking at the figure as complicit in its own destruction, and this seems to be an act embraced as Jamaican culture, which is why in my videos, in this installation in the exhibition, there's a scene where I am watching the woman on her back with the block and another woman being dragged into a tree, which is in the center, which would have been in this. I proceed to wrap a cement block in bandana fabric, which is known as our cultural fabric. Usually it's pulled out for heritage and cultural events. By wrapping the block in fabric, I am responding to the scene before me. I am decorating the object in culture. By doing that, I'm pacifying the object. I'm making it softer, less aggressive. I'm weakening it in its shroud. A tour guide also looks on here, herself cloaked in cultural cloth, observing what's considered culture and passing it on, educating viewers through her culture script. She is a lens through which a visitor gains insight into location being observed. But unfortunately, her script is only meant to please the viewer, skirt around major issues, and not challenge them with hard truths. Under these circumstances, she too becomes a passive conduit of information, decorated as she is in cultural cloth, like the block. In Krista Thompson's essay, Black Skin, Blue Eyes, Visualizing Blackness in Jamaican Art 1922 to 1944, she spoke about Sunny Jamaica, who is this woman in the photograph standing beside Queen Mary. Sunny Jamaica was seen as symbolic of people under colonial rule in the Anglophone Caribbean. Her comparison with the Queen in this image rendered her as infantile, non-threatening, charming, while adorned in her cultural shroud. This outfit can therefore be seen as one of having servitude, which is perhaps why it is worn by tour guides at Devon House and Rose Hall Great House, because maybe white visitors to those sites must not be allowed to feel uneasy around the black natives. Which brings me to Rose Hall. I feature this image repeatedly in the installation to symbolize heritage in Jamaica. Rose Hall, as you may know, is a popular tourist attraction that boasts the compelling mythology of a murderous witch from the 1700s. The story goes that the witch Annie Palmer was born to English and Irish parents, moved to Haiti, where she became introduced to voodoo by her Haitian nanny, of course. It was this witchcraft which secured her prestige and power when she moved to Jamaica, where she eventually murdered several of her husbands as well as enslaved Africans. Even though this is a fictional tale, enslaved Africans worked the lands in reality, but their lives are not given much value or significance in the story. Even the dungeon where the enslaved were kept has now been transformed into a tavern called Annie's Pub. I've recently been looking more at heritage sites in Jamaica and the way their colonial legacies are overshadowed and at times completely veiled by the country's mandate to attract tourists. I am concerned with how heritage sites are chosen and from whose perspective we are meant to view them. Sites such as Rose Hall have not done much to honor the thousands of persons who were forced to work on those very lands. In fact, Annie has a tomb that tourists take pictures with, but there is nothing to remember the former enslaved. Imagine if there was a plaque to commemorate the earthquake and not the victims of the earthquake in Haiti. Sounds silly. So why don't we have anything to honor our ancestors, but we have something to celebrate a witch? There is actually a memorial in Haiti for the earthquake victims, but it is overgrown in bush. Berthenid Dasney, the memorial's groundskeeper, this woman, was unhappy with the site's appearance and felt that it had been ill-treated. She said, "You must remember the humans buried here. They were just like us and should always be honored, not forgotten." I think that we can take a closer look at our heritage symbols, our heritage sites, and our culture. This piece in the exhibition installation is my attempt at pulling these ideas together, me trying to understand, excavate, destroy, reconstruct a stronger identity by revealing ugly, burdensome parts, uncomfortable things, fragmented parts, empty parts. The piece deals also with isolation, barriers, observation, hiding, struggling. It deals with building, building identity, constructing and destroying culture. Perhaps we can reconstruct ourselves anew out of this colonial disaster.
Thank you very much.